Welcome to What's the Deal with Sam? Starring Sam Lilly. Join Sam as he discusses a wide variety of topics.
Fan mail.
Now
Thank
let's
you.
start the show.
Thank you.
What's the deal with the term blind playthrough being offensive? It's like saying the term walkthrough is offensive with the ground. I mean, so this is probably dating how old these ideas are. This was a while ago. I think it was kind of a thing that kind of became a big stink for a brief moment, where people were kind of upset about this, like blind playthrough. That's like, you can't say that's offensive to people who can't see. Generally, when you say a blind playthrough, it means you're playing a game for the first time. You haven't looked up stuff about it or whatever. Like, you're coming in fresh. You never played it. You're kind of experiencing it for the first time. So you're blind to all of the information that you would have if you had played it before or looked stuff up on it and that kind of thing, right? That's a blind playthrough. And I don't know what to tell you, man. Really, I don't. I get the idea that that could be offensive to blind people in a way of saying that because it has the word blind in it, I guess. But that assumes that people who are blind are offended by hearing the word blind, and they're not. They're not really using that in a way that's like putting anyone down. It's not saying it's a bad thing. Like, a blind playthrough isn't a bad thing. It's not saying, it's not really making any commentary about being blind. It's the idea of like, you can't see all of the things you would normally see had you played it before, right? In the game sense. I don't think that you should just never be able to use the word blind just because you aren't blind, and potentially offend somebody who is blind or may become blind. Ask your doctor if blindness is right for you. Blindness may have a side effect of being blind. Do not take blindness if you are pregnant or plan to become pregnant or are already blind. So, it just seems really silly because it doesn't really have anything to do with actually being blind. I don't think people who are blind are going to give that much of a shit because they might listen to it, but are they really going to watch these playthroughs? They kind of can't really watch in that sense, right? Like, I don't know that there's actually blind people being offended by this, or other people thinking that blind people may be offended by it and are hopefully being like, well, let's just be super safe and let's make sure that we actually just ban the word blind from all platforms, just in case anybody who is blind, which I guess they can say it, but maybe we'll think about it. But really, we should just outlaw the word. I don't know. It seems like a really weird, overcompensation. And, I don't know if anybody gives a shit now at this point either, too, because, I don't even know if there's anything being enforced on it or anything happened with that. I really didn't hear much about it after the first, few days of that being, a thing. A blind playthrough is offending people. But it'd be kind of like being, oh, can't say walkthrough now, because, there's some people who can't walk. What if you're, what if you're in a, you're paralyzed, you're in a wheelchair? That's offensive to me. You're calling it a walkthrough because I can't walk. How dare you? Because it definitely has to do with physically walking, just like blind playthrough has physically to do with the ability to see, or not, the lack thereof, seeing thereof, therein, henceforth thereto. The more words you add to what you're saying, the more correct you are, and the smarter you is. So, I don't know, I just thought it was a really silly thing. But belated news thing, because I just jotted these down for, however long. And then now when it comes out, it's just too late anyway, so I can upload this whenever the fuck I want, and it'll be just as irrelevant as any other time I decide to put it up. Unless this makes its way back into the news cycle, in which case, hey, I logged out, and I just randomly got back into the news cycle. Maybe I'll be the reason that it comes back in the news cycle. Maybe I'll be canceled. Because I said stuff about playthroughs and walkthroughs. and blindness and wheelchairs and I don't know. I don't know, man. What's the deal with getting offended over the term blind playthrough? It's like getting offended over the term walkthrough with the ground. What's the deal with